Hey, it's Aaron, metal theologian. Alright, so I've been on another big hip hop kick. As some of y'all I'm sure know, fuck, my hair's doing all this weird shit. What little of it I have. Yeah, I went on a big kick a few years ago. That's sort of my background with it, okay? So, like, I'll take a step back here. So, my own history with hip hop is I was aware of, like, Run DMC and shit like that, like in the late 80s when that shit really started to break. You know, Beastie Boys, to a lesser degree, like LL Cool J, Curtis Blow, you know, some of those guys. This, by the way, is good shit. Fucking Moxie here. But don't take my word for it. Take his word for it. So at the time, I never disliked it, actually. I mean, it took me a little while to sort of ease into it, but like, you know, Public Enemy and shit like that, I was like, yeah, there's some really good shit going on here. But it wasn't like for me. You know what I mean? So then I kind of forgot about it, you know, and this was 30 some years ago, okay? So in my late 40s, for some reason, I don't even remember why, I got really interested in it again. I went and got a bunch of shit. I talked about it in videos that you can see. If you go back like 5 years maybe on my channel, you'll see lots of videos of me showing like, oh my god, I got this NWA record and I never realized how good this fucking thing is, you know? So, you know, a lot of that was sort of trying to remember from that sort of golden era, as people call it, you know? Then I went back to my metal for a couple of years, little jazz, back to the metal and that. And I've been back on the hip hop lately. And the big thing this time, I've mentioned this before, but I'm kind of emphasize it now, is that I can't believe how much the genre has evolved while I wasn't paying attention. You know, I mean, the analogy that I've used before is, if the only hip hop you know is like 90s hip hop, then it's sort of like the only rock and roll you know is like Little Richard, you know, and like Buddy Holly, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that shit, it's good shit, but that is not the entirety of rock music, not even close. And rap music now has been around and like a thing and been developing and growing longer than rock and roll had been when I first got into rock music, like really heavily, like, you know, at the beginning of the 80s. Not that I ever disliked rock, but I really started collecting music like when I was like 10 or so, you know, something like that. So, very early 80s. So like I said, I wasn't paying attention, you know, the kind of shit that you hear on the radio, like all this, you know, it's like all the auto-tune shit. You know, it's funny. I really hate auto-tune. I really want to like auto-tune. Because it's sort of like a distortion pedal for your voice in a way. You know what I mean? Like anything that's sort of clicked, it's like a little bit of fuckery. Like in principle, I really want to dig. But I hear like a Kanye song or something where he's doing that. And that just sounds like shit, man. Anyway, while I wasn't paying attention, shit like this has been coming out. We're listening to right fucking now. There's probably going to be an ad on this video for this. But this is Angry Black Men. Never heard of him before relatively recently. I mean, I usually find this shit either because people give me recommendations in my comments, or because I'll just go through and see what looks interesting and sample it. I mean, this is fucking crazy, dude. This is like... I like a lot of boom bap shit, okay? This is another one that I've been playing a lot recently. This is actually my favorite, like, Wu-Tang offshoot project. This is Jerry with the Damage. I'll take this over, like Old Dirty Bastard or some of those other guys any day. You know, Liquid Swords is a really good album. But as far as like a pure boom bap record, this one's fucking fantastic. It has some of the greatest shit. It has like some weird like piano in the grooves and shit, like in this really unexpected sorts of ways. Just really creative record. But this shit that we're listening to right now, this is really pushing the boundaries. You know what I mean? And like, if you watch my channel, you're probably the sort of person like who gets my taste. Okay, so like you like metal, but like you really dig. There's sort of a special place in your heart for shit like Voivod because they're like pushing it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you like punk, but there's a special place in your heart for like The Residents or Chrome or you know some of these bands that are really sort of pushing in a different direction. Suicide, you know. You like jazz. You really like free jazz, Albert Eiler, shit like that. Fucking Peter Bertzmann. You know what I mean? You like, I mean, from like, you know, classical music, you know, orchestral stuff. It's like, I like Beethoven and that sort of shit. But I really like, you know, like Charles Ives and Bartok and Messiaen. You know what I mean? Those are the guys that really sort of get my juices flowing. And it's the same kind, like reggae, but I really like Keith Hudson. You know what I mean? And this is the shit that's been happening in hip hop. And I had no idea it was out there. And like, I dig the grooves, right? Like the other thing I've been listening to a lot of lately, I think I talked about this just in my last video, but a lot of this Memphis shit. There's a really good one that Eric Bauer put me onto, and it's kind of ironic because this is from the 90s, and this is super lo-fi. It's almost at the opposite of the spectrum as this shit, but like, because you can hear that the musicians were so constrained by the equipment that they were using, that sort of thing, that it was just like really like this pure like creativity comes out. And also, I just love the horror vibes. You know what I mean? I hate the expression horrorcore because I can't get my head around the idea of like core as a suffix being associated with something that isn't rock. I guess, you know what I mean. Horrorcore just doesn't sound like it's a hip hop subgenre. It doesn't quite compute. So I don't know, man. You can file that one with my whole sort of contention that that the difference between thrash and speed metal is just in your head. But yeah. So basically, I don't know, man. I thought about a couple different ways of approaching this. You know, like maybe talk about metal records to sort of sucker y'all in and play some of the shit in the background. But fuck it, man. I sort of want to address it head on. And this shit I'm not an expert on. You know what I mean? I know metal pretty well, you know. I try not to be like a dick about it, but like when it comes to like 80s metal, I'm not the easiest guy in the world to stump. 70s, like German shit, the krautrock stuff, I pretty much know what I'm talking about. This stuff, it's kind of been trial and error. Not much error because so much of the shit is so fucking good. And because I'm still new enough to it. This is one of the great things about getting into a new genre of music. Like, especially a little bit later in life when you have a little more money. So, like, if you make a mistake, it doesn't hurt as much. You know what I'm saying? But, like, if I get a record and it sucks, I fucking don't like it at all. I still feel like I learned something. You know, like I have a Denzel Curry record sitting over there. That thing really didn't do a fucking thing for me, man. Maybe I'll come back around to it later and see some value in it. I have another one over there by Soul Messiah, which I also didn't love. I still don't love, frankly. But, like, you know, if I just want to hear something in the background that's, like, kind of cool while I'm working or something, that's good. You know what I mean? But this is another one. Okay, this is Injury Reserve. It's this record right here. This is not Public Enemy, man. And Public Enemy was groundbreaking in their own way, right? But this kind of fucking vibe I just never heard on a Hip Hop Record Report. Found this shit recently. So it's like, I mean, a lot of metal guys, including metal guys I hold in really high regard, like King Fowley, you know, he's like a great example. But I've been on Metallurgy with him, and I mentioned rap, he's like, he starts losing his shit, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, of course, that's what it is, you know what I mean? Like, when I first heard rap, like NWA and shit like that, and I was already into metal, I was like, oh, that's metal for black kids, I totally get it, you know? So, that's like celebrate segregation in music history because I wish there were more overlap. Yeah, never mind. That's a whole other fucking conversation. We need to go there because I think you could have a long discussion about whether it's better or worse for music, the way things have been segregated at times and integrated at other times, and like whether a certain sort of separation like allowed smaller communities to like flourish in a way that they might not have if it had been sort of one big colossus, you know what I mean? But anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, especially because I don't have any like fully baked thoughts. I'm just sort of making this shit up as I'm going along. Anyway, shit like this. I mean, yeah, he's rapping. But if he were singing clean, this could be a rock record. Maybe not quite. Because it's relying on a sample a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, it has these loops going on, but you hear that more and more in certain kinds of rock music, too, you know what I mean? I remember seeing the Space Heads, who I actually turned on to because my friend Fraser from the Diagram Brothers, Andy Diagram from Space Heads, was an old friend of his from the Diagram Brothers, so they came to town when I was living in San Francisco. And it was just him playing trumpet, and the dude, actually the drummer from the Mudhutters, if you know your like 80s Manchester shit. Bass player from the Diagram Brothers playing trumpet, and the drummer from the Mudhutters playing drums. And like he played like a little trumpet thing, and he would like loop it, and then play something else over it, and just like build these layers, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't call that hip hop. I don't know if I'd really call it rock either, although if I had it right now, it only ever came out on the CD. I might even still have it. But I'd probably file it in rock for lack of a better place. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I mean, there's sort of 2 points to this video. I mean, the one is I just sort of want to highlight for anyone who like goes, oh yeah, I know what rap sounds like, it's not for me. I want to sort of highlight how far this shit has come, how much it's grown and how much it's changed, and just how fucking much there is up there. You know, when I look at my record collection, in my early 50s now, okay? My metal collection, I mean, I still buy metal records, right? But like, generally speaking, if someone comes over, they want to hear something, it's in the library. You know what I mean? If I want to hear something, it's pretty much over there. Yeah, there's rare shit I can still dig out, you know what I mean? But I'm not out there buying Iron Maiden or Metallica. I'm not even buying Celtic Frost or Creator or Necronomicon even, you know, Destruction, shit like that. Because that shit's already in the house, you know what I mean? It's like, from that standpoint, there's a certain sort of, I don't want to say it's complete, because the collection is never complete, right? But there's a certain sort of, it's in a state of completion, you know what I mean? Where I could like walk away from it and go, yeah, this is a very good representation, solid cross-section that really fully represents what heavy metal from that era was about, you know what I mean? Part of getting into like hip-hop for me has involved making my peace with the fact that I'm not going to live long enough to be able to deal with this shit. Because there's just too much shit. I'm never going to learn it all. And that's great, you know what I mean? On the one hand, it's kind of humbling, right? Because, you know, it's kind of cool to feel like, yeah, you're the music guy who, you know, you just know all the shit and, like, all the little references, and you've heard that record and whatever else. There's just too much. You know? It's just... And it's a little humbling, but it's also kind of a great feeling to know that I'm never going to run out of new shit to discover. Because that's another thing, if you watch my channel, you probably figured out as far as how I roll, you know, is if I have a choice between another record by a band that I really like, that's probably going to be a really good record, and one that might be a good record, but it's something I've never heard before, I'm probably going to go for the second record, because I feel like I'm learning something new by hearing some band that I've never heard before, you know what I mean? Whereas the one that I already know I like, I might still get that fucking record because it's good, right? It's not like I only have one Celtic Frost record, you know, and one Iron Maiden record. They're over there. But generally speaking, I'd rather hear something that's going to challenge me a little bit, you know what I mean? And like, it feels a little corny to put it like this, but from that standpoint, each record becomes an adventure. You know what I mean? And with each record being an adventure, getting into hip-hop at my age is like a quest. You know what I mean? Or every little stop along the way. It's like this little stop over here might just be like fucking, I don't know, buying provisions from the person at the local merchant. But the next little journey might be like having to like slay the fucking Hydra. You know what I mean? Before I go and like figure out where the Golden Fleece is. You know what I mean? I guess the first category would be Denzel Curry, where it's like, okay, just sort of whatever. The second category would be like fucking injury reserve. Because listen to what these fucking guys are doing. Yeah, it's fucking fantastic, man. Let's see if I can find another example. I might have hyped this one last time, actually. This is a Memphis one, okay? And this is like, you know, one of the few of like sort of the classic ones people talk about that I've been able to get my hands on. Mr. Tiny Mine, I think is how he says it, but 1995. So there you go. But the horror vibes on this thing, even though it's really simple, this is sort of the other end of the spectrum that I was talking about before. Okay, this is very simple. Not as simple as the first LL Cool J record, where it's just him and a drum machine, which I actually don't have that record anymore. I had that first time around and kind of let it go, but yeah, that's kind of a special record too, I think, in its own way. But the vibe on this thing is just like nothing else that I've heard. I mean, except for a few other things out of Memphis, I suppose. But let's fire this up for a minute. If there are a bunch of ads on this fucking video because I'm playing this shit, I really hope it goes to the people who are making these, because this is just some fantastic music, man. And this shit's blowing my mind. There's like a little intro I'm going to skip past. Here we go. That's still the intro. Yeah, I'll put on this a little low so I have to fuck with the volume. My nigga Zerk, we gonna make it, my nigga. We gonna well know, listen to that shit. I mean, that's fucking great. It's so simple, but it's so fucking spooky. And like, I mean, if you like metal, you probably like horror. You know, I suspect that the Venn diagram of people who are horror fans and metal fans maybe isn't quite a circle, but it's pretty fucking close. This is like a totally different approach with the same sort of aesthetic, or the same sort of vibe. And I mean, coming from a different background and shit too, you know. I don't want to get in here and make this like a thing about what I've learned about violence in Memphis, Tennessee, and when these records are being made and shit, because I'm not qualified to talk about that. But I am qualified to say this is a really unusual record, man. And it's just amazing me. There's just so much shit that's just so fantastic that I still have yet to discover, man. You want to see a couple metal records? If you're still watching, we've hung in there for 16 minutes, so I'll show a couple metal records to appease y'all. Although the very first one here, I just have two sitting. I actually have like 5 sitting here, but 3 of them are the ones that I showed in my last video, so those are staying there. I mean, this right here was an example of one I got because it was kind of weird, man. Fucking Red Asphalt, The Obsession. It's a Private Press, 2 songs from Melbourne, Florida. Only one of the songs is instrumental. The whole thing is about 5 minutes. But it's just a really unusual record, man. Like, it's this weird approach to metal record. It's sort of progressive, but by calling it progressive, it doesn't really leave the right impression, you know, for what it is. You know what I mean? It's more just like kind of weird, and you wonder what the hell they were thinking, you know? Just like you wonder what the fuck that is coming out that cave, and why. I was gonna say why they're so mellow, just hanging out in front of it. Maybe it's because they're disembodied heads, because the fucking monster already got them. And the other one, again, speaking of horror, I think I might have talked about this one too, because this is a brand new reissue from Black Legion in Spain, but the second Luzbel record, man. Fantastic metal record. A lot more straightforward than that Red Asphalt one, you know what I mean? But it's great, man. I'm really stoked that someone's like doing a nice job, like giving some of these Mexican records the love that they deserve. Because I don't want to go hunt down an original of this fucking thing, man. It's so much work. It's so expensive. Give me a good reissue and I'll be happy. So. Yeah, so here's another one, man. This isn't as weird as the other ones, maybe. This is Old Gorilla Bones. Revenge is the album. This one almost has too many samples in it. Like, some of these are like the horror movie samples and shit like that. I'll throw this on for a minute. Trying to give you a little bit of cross section here. It's funny, I'm flashing back to like persuasive writing class in high school. I mean, not like persuasive writing class, but remember how like in English class you had to, one of the things you do is you had to write a persuasive essay where you're trying to make a point. I usually don't feel like I'm doing that with my videos. It's more like, here's shit that I've been listening to, here's shit that I dig. Come along for the ride if you want, you know what I mean? If you get it, you're already here, so let's just fucking have fun with it. This time I kind of feel like I'm trying to be persuasive a little bit, you know? Even if you never get into this shit, there is so much here. So much going on. I kind of want to convince people that if your kids get into hip-hop, like even if you don't go sneaking the shit out the way I have been, if your kids are starting to listen to this shit, sit down and listen to it with them instead of just like going, fuck, I don't want to hear that shit. Smoking good, but hold your tongue. And roll me more. I'm Obi-Wan, I'm home my son. My pose is clutch. And all the there's a little of an intro on this one. There's almost too many like little sort of movie samples in this one, but only almost. It's a really interesting record, man. Really simple loop there. And there's some other shit. Yeah, I've seen what else is here because I'm like kind of trying to focus specifically on the weird ones, you know. Like this is a really cool record. Late Night with Shabazz 3. But this is kind of more like what it sounds like, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of sums it up. It's like a middle of the night record. It's cool. Has a beat, you know what I mean? Performances are great. But it's not like, it's not going to change your idea of like what hip hop can be, you know what I mean? I'm not shitting on this record at all either, just to be clear. I actually really like it. But I mean, it's sort of like that Jeru the Damager one, you know? It's fantastic. I like the Jeru one more, honestly. But it's in a similar sort of vein where it's like, this is a really cool record I'm going to dig the hell out of. Fuck, man, this one right here, which is almost always over here because I play this one so much, fucking Black Moon. You know, it's funny, like a week or two ago on Metallurgy, they were talking about like songs where the records where the last song on the record is the best song on there. And I was like, you know, Black Moon, fucking You to Man is my favorite song on this record. But that one isn't going to change your mind about like how the whole sort of phenomenon of, you know, hip hop or rap. I mean, I guess I'm still digging because I still don't have a ton of this kind of shit, you know, but I love the suggestions. God, this is another one. There's another Memphis one that's kind of been blowing my mind, man. But this Snub Nose Pimp Forever. I'm playing this one a fucking lot too, man. Just like that Dream World one, man. Similar sort of vibe, sort of spooky and shit. There's something about the sound. Like this is sort of closer to like a conventional sound than the other shit I've been playing so far, I think. But like there's more to rapping than just like someone spitting out the verses too. You know what I mean? There are these different styles, that sort of thing. Yeah. It really makes me realize, I mean, one of the things that's been funny about this whole process to me is I realized that as soon as I got into rap, I pretty much immediately went for the underground shit. And like, I didn't do it consciously. I was like, you know, I'd never listened to fucking Kanye West before. I never listened to like, I don't know, Nicki Minaj, you know. It's like, I sort of know some of these names and shit, but I didn't pay any attention to them, you know. But like, you know, I'd hear that shit once and be like, no, what I want to hear is like fucking, I mean, like Brother Lynch Hung. This is more of, this is like horror rap too, but doesn't have that Memphis like. God, do I want to say Memphis magic? Do I say Swedish magic when it comes to metal? Maybe, man. There's some magic in Memphis. I think it's black magic, and like not in a sort of funny way, but yeah, this is a cool record too. But it's more like regular, but yeah, fucking Inhale with the Devil. Oh my God, dude. I can't resist that shit. Yeah, I hyped this one last time a little bit too, but I'm gonna play a little piece of this one too because Nacho Picasso is like a good rapper, but what really makes this record is the production from Blue Sky Black Death, which I think is two guys, you know. I know they made their own records too, so, you know, I guess technically that makes it a collab or something, but you know, I don't even know all the vocabulary for this kind of shit, you know. Just fire this one up and then I'll hang it up, because I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself a little bit here. Here we go with a little tip of the hat to Isaac Hayes. I see something galling about this record, though, actually. Galling is too strong, okay? But when this was recommended to me by Eric over at High Defamation, whose name has already come up once in this video, because he's given me a couple of suggestions on this shit. Yeah, you know who put this out, man? Yeah, not my favorite YouTube channel. But hey, more power to him if he's putting out records like this. See, the vocals are almost like just part of the rhythm, you know? Maybe it's because I'm not a lyrics guy, you know? You're never going to hear me say, oh, these lyrics are so fucking fantastic. I mean, sometimes they are, but when they are, it's gravy. If they're not, I don't care. I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention. I care about sort of the whole sound of it, you know what I mean? And maybe that's another reason why I've been digging this shit so much, because it's here, and, you know, I appreciate a good singer, right? These guys are doing different sorts of things with their voices, though, man, and I dig that, you know? I like Eric Adams from Manowar, fuck Ronnie James Dio, right? Like, serious, like, powerful singers. But I can dig a singer like Lemmy or like Kronos, too, you know what I mean? Because they're doing something different with their voice. Well, Nacho Picasso's doing something different with his voice here, you know? Maybe he would have been a great metal singer, maybe not. I have no idea. I don't particularly care, because I have this record and one other, and they're pretty fucking good the way they are with him doing what he's already doing, so. I'm not going to piss in his Cheerios. Yeah, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, if you've hung in there for this long, it's that if when you think of rap, the first thing you think of is "I'm the Man" or Kerry King's admittedly great guitar solo in that Beastie Boys song "No Sleep Till Brooklyn." There's nothing wrong with that shit, but there is a whole fucking universe, man, and it's awesome. And it's just really a pleasure to still feel so surprised by music and so like excited about something new that I've discovered after a good 40 years of collecting. So it's really not the psychedelic thing. Like, it's not psychedelic in the way a rock record would be, but it has this sort of weird like ethereal thing going on with it, even though it has a strong beat rooting it, you know? It's really fucking fantastic. Alright, well, if you've hung in there this long, I appreciate it. I appreciate watching anyway, you know what I mean? But I appreciate it just even more if you're willing to go a little bit on the limb with me here, you know? So, thanks for watching. If you have any tips, I'm happy to hear them. Yeah. Take care. I'll see you next time. Thanks.